Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today I've got an upload so terrifying that I'm a little nervous sharing it with you. No, I'm just kidding. Before we get into today's upload, though, a couple links I'd like to share. As you know, I rely on my Patreon, my PayPal, and my merch to help this channel to continue to grow and go. All of those links are in the description below. I also have a second channel for creepypasta, fanfiction, and scary voice acting. Stories that really don't fit on this channel. Now, if that's anything that you're into, follow that link and give those stories a listen. You may just like what you hear. Now, guys, I've taken enough of your time and you've had to wait a couple of days. Let's get on with today's upload. Shall we? In this day and age of ever-advancing technology and our never-ending domination of wild places of the world, it's easy for mankind to be lulled into the sense that we are the masters of our domain, the lords of all we survey, and the ultimate top of the food chain. However, this often proves to be a false sense of security. Indeed, at the fringes of where our kind sits at the precipice of wild lands, we are at times just as much the hunted as the hunter. Things prowl out there in the wilderness, and they are not above taking a human life. For what are we to them but an easy meal? After all, without all of our advanced technologies, how can we really compete against creatures which have spent millions of years evolving with the sole intention of killing? Often animal attacks can be explained as a roving leopard, lion, tiger, bear, or such known predator species. At other times, the source of death is not so clear-cut. At times, strange creatures from which we have no immediate identification can step forth from the brush and take our lives on a whim. These are the phantom talons that the natural world extends to us. Here are the inexplicable clawed-fanged things beyond our grasp that creep forth from the darkness to maim and kill almost invisibly, cloaked in a nearly supernatural aura. These are the unclassified man-eating beasts that have skirted the boundaries of our known world and lurched forth from our nightmares to viciously drive home the fact with blood teeth and breathtaking unstoppable force that not only are we not at the top of the food chain, but that we might not even know what the top of the food chain is. Perhaps the most well-known case of a mysterious beast on a rampage occurred in the former province of Gévaudan in south-central France between the years of 1764 and 1767, in which some huge, fierce, unknown animal described as wolf-like in appearance but as big as a calf, with formidable fangs and a long tail, terrorized the region, leaving a trail of blood and viciously mauled dead bodies in its wake. The horrific killing spree of this enigmatic beast can be traced back to the summer of 1764, when a young woman was attacked by it while out alone tending her cattle near the murky Mercoeur forest. Allegedly, the animal intently charged her, only to be thwarted by the massive bulls in her herd, which charged it in a rage. This would herald the beginning of the forthcoming attacks, and the first death attributed to the monster would be a 14-year-old girl by the name of Jeanne Boulet, whose throat was mercifully torn out by some sort of wild animal near the village of Les Hubucas. In the ensuing months, the enigmatic mystery creature would go on repeatedly attacking and killing innocent men and women and children who were out tending cattle in the rural areas and forests near Gévaudan, typically brutally maiming and savaging the neck and face of the victims. A wave of spreading panic was not far beyond, as the terrified populace tried to figure out what sort of foul creature had come to bring the shadow of death with it. Indeed, there were so many attacks in such a short span of time that there was much speculation that there is likely more than one of these beasts stalking the countryside in tandem. Talk among the frightened, superstitious locals made much mention of supernatural creatures and demons running amok. and there were a fair number of people who believed that this was a supernatural phantom beast which could not be killed by normal means they possessed. As the death toll mounted, the situation was brought to the attention of Louis XV when a man by the name of Jacques Pothier was attacked by a bloodthirsty animal while with a group of 7 of his friends. Although the group managed to drive the beast away in the end, it apparently persistently came at the group several times before giving up. It was this harrowing account that caused Louis XV to proclaim that the strange beast or beasts, as it may have been, was to be hunted down and killed without hesitation. This was the time of the hunt when hunters, nobles, soldiers, civilians, pretty much every capable person in the area went about scouring the forests, looking for the murderous, mysterious creature that seemed to be toying with them. 2 professional wolf hunters, named Jean-Charles Marc-Antoine and his son Jean-Francois, were brought in to combat the mysterious threat. The pair had hunted down this creature for 4 months with specially trained wolf hunting dogs, but the rampant attacks continued right under their noses. This lack of results forced the king to replace them with another hunter, Francois Antoinette, who managed to kill an unusually large wolf on September 20th, 1765. This specimen was widely touted as being the beast behind all the attacks and even stuffed and displayed at Versailles. And Antoine was hailed as a hero who had stopped the carnage. Yet there were nearly another dozen savage attacks by the beast in the days after its supposed death. The true end to the seemingly never-ending killings would not stop until June 19th, 1767. When a hunter by the name of Jean Chassel shot and killed a wolf with the presence of human remains in its stomach, convincing most that it was the real and genuine true beast of Gévaudan. Interestingly, in later years it would come to light that this hunter had allegedly used a blessed silver bullet to kill the creature. In the end, over 100 deaths and numerous injuries were blamed on the beast of Gévaudan, with most of the corpses severely maimed and partially eaten. Many theories have been proposed over the years for just what the beast of Gévaudan was, including that it was one or a whole pack of man-eating wolves, some sort of new species of malignant predator, or even an armed mastiff fitted with hides. The most rational explanation is that this was the work of one or more many savage wolves that plagued the region during the 18th century, but the true culprit remains unknown. While perhaps the most notorious, the beast of Gévaudan is certainly not the only mystery animal to lurk in the wilderness beyond our eyesight and leap from the shadows to kill in various places throughout the world. And these sorts of gruesome attacks have continued right up until modern times. Another rather infamous case revolves around an unknown animal that in March of 2003 reportedly killed at least 3 people and injured 16 others. In a mountainous area in Malawi, Africa, called the Dawa district, located 100 kilometers from the capital of Lilongwe, the secretive creature would go on to be known as the Malawi terror beast, was described as being a very large dog-like animal with hyena-like features, which was known to prowl the remote area and suddenly pounce out of the brush and ravage lone residents walking alone. Most of the attacks were marked by the unidentified creature's tendency to crush the skulls of its victims and devour their internal organs and private parts. Those who did survive the attacks came away from the encounter a little worse for wear, with horrific disfigurements including missing eyes, ears, nose, hands, and even legs, all of which had been savagely ripped out by this mysterious beast. This pattern of so viciously maiming and disfiguring victims made the attacks particularly frightening, sowing profound panic throughout the area to the point where around 4,000 people abandoned their homes to seek refuge in a secured town hall patrolled by armed guards. This sudden influx of people fleeing their homes caused concerns among authorities over how they could feed and house so many, and led to a concentrated effort to hunt down whatever sort of animal was responsible. Although police, security officers, gamekeepers, and paramilitary forces were deployed to the stricken area in an effort to track the mysterious animal, they were ultimately unable to find whatever it was. The official report wrote up the whole incident as a rabid hyena on the loose, but surviving witnesses that had seen the creature up close disagreed, saying it was much larger than a hyena and that it had longer hind legs. Some authorities also expressed doubt over whether an insane rabid hyena could have possibly caused such spree of killings while remaining elusive, uncaptured, and on the loose. Whatever it was, the Malawi terror beast's killing spree ended as abruptly as it began, leaving terror and bafflement behind. And it remains unclear just what sort of animal was responsible, where it came from, or where it went. Some of the superstitious villagers believed that it was supernatural in nature, and perhaps a vengeful spirit of a man-eating hyena that had been killed in August of the previous year after killing 5 and maiming 20 in another area before being shot by police. Africa certainly has no shortage of such cases. In 2005, some kind of bizarre unknown animal held the area surrounding the rural villages of Sierra Leone, Africa, in the grip of terror. The creature was reported as killing its unfortunate victims by breaking their necks, after which it would feast on their entrails. And it was also said to be extremely nimble-footed and fast. Over a mere 1-month period, the animal was responsible for a gory death toll of around 4 people, which was enough to convince many of the frightened farmers of that rural region to abandon their humble homes. Allegedly, a detachment of police and military personnel were sent to the area to track the animal. But other than some unusual droppings from some sort of predator, there was no further evidence of what could have possibly been behind these attacks, and it could not even be asserted if there was one or more behind the deadly attacks. The identity of the mysterious killer beast remains to be a complete mystery to this day. In 2012, a prowling terror came to Indonesia when a plantation worker and an elderly farmer were attacked on 2 separate occasions by some sort of unidentified, very angry animal. Farmer Aris Kuna, 75, was out in his garden around noon when he was rushed by a mysterious unknown animal, and a plantation worker was attacked by the similar creature while working on his oil palm reservation. In both cases, the animal in question was described as being something like a cross between a bear and a wild boar, around 2 feet long, very pissed off, and the animal was reported as emitting a bizarre sound like a hen followed by a wild boar sound before attacking. It was also said that the mystery beast had a long mane and wicked sharp claws, as well as an unbearable and identifiable stench. In both attacks, the creature was said to have reared up on its hind legs before ferociously moving in for a kill. One tracker by the name of Paul Hernrup, 41, who bravely tried to look for the animal out in the wilderness, said that its stench was overpowering, claimed that it could be smelled in the area long before it was seen. The mystery animal in this case was actually finally killed when it attacked a plantation worker and was struck down by a sickle. When the carcass was brought to the village for analysis, no one could figure out what species it could possibly be. People who had spent their entire lives with the wildlife of the area were stumped, and the creature still remains unidentified. Staying in Southeast Asia, there was yet another region held in panic by a murderous mystery monster in the rural districts of Sai Mai Che in Vietnam. In 2011, villagers of the northwestern province of Lo Se, Vietnam, complained of seeing an unknown species of dog-like creatures prowling through the area, which was described as having long, slender bodies marked with white spots or stripes, as well as ominous slanted red eyes. The area was also plagued by inexplicable howls and roars heard by frightened villagers echoing through the night, as well as strange, very large footprints that were seemingly canine in nature. The mystery animal or animals were reported as indiscriminately attacking pets, livestock, and fearlessly lunging at anyone foolish enough to try to intervene, with over 15 reports of people being ferociously bitten by these strange creatures. In some cases, the heads of over 20 dogs that were attacked had been horrifically torn completely off of their bodies. It has not been ascertained just what sort of animal could have been responsible for that killing spree, although there are theories that it is perhaps a roving pack of feral dogs. In 2012, 3 villages near Meerut Forest in India were also living under a cloud of constant fear and panic as some sort of mystery predator stalked the night. Nearly 20,000 local residents were held under siege by some sort of wild animal that was responsible for the deaths of at least 3 women. The first attack occurred on August 27, 2012, when a 46-year-old resident of the Naranangpur village was found dead in a field near her home, missing her hands, legs, and her face, and hair torn apart by whatever the vicious animal was. At first it was suspected that it was a murder, and that the damage of the wild animals happened post-mortem. But on September 2nd, another similar attack happened in another village, Agwanpur. Yet another attack in the same area occurred soon after, when a mauled, half-eaten body of another woman was found unceremoniously strewn about in the wilderness near the Hasanpur Wildlife Sanctuary. Another 55-year-old woman was also attacked nearby the Nemka village while out cutting grass, but was able to survive the ordeal when the creature was scared off by noise of an approaching villager. The woman was seriously injured in the attack and admitted for medical care. All of the attacks occurred near the wildlife sanctuary, a remote area marked by numerous cane fields and orchards. Authorities were unable to figure out just what sort of animal could possibly have been responsible. Witnesses claimed the creature was similar in appearance to a leopard, but Divisional Forest Officer Lalit Kumar stated that this was unlikely, considering that there was no telltale pug marks of a big cat found anywhere in the vicinity of the attacks. This has been made top theory that the attacks were carried out by feral dogs or even a hyena, but it remains unknown just what sort of animal was terrorizing these villagers, and it has since gone into hiding. Moving over to Malaysia, as recently as 2015, there was news of some sort of mystery creature that attacked Malaysian workers at an oil palm plantation. The workers claimed that they were charged and viciously attacked by a vicious, hairless monstrosity that was described as being something like a snarling cross between a dog and a monkey. The workers were reportedly able to drive the creature away by striking out at it with the weapons at hand, with one of the hits knocking the thing out, after which it awoke a short while later and was chased back into the thick wilderness. In this case, one of the startled workers was able to take video footage of the creature during and shortly after the attack, which has given some evidence from which to work out the culprit's identity. Analysis of the video footage, which clearly shows the workers mercifully beating the animal, has led to some environmentalists to come to the conclusion that it was most likely a Malaysian sun bear that either had some sort of skin disease to make it hairless or has been subjected to mistreatment. In the footage, the animal seems far from menacing, and indeed appears to be the main victim of the whole incident, cowering under the barrage of strikes from the villagers and sparing doubt that the animal had really attacked the workers at all, generating outrage over what some groups are calling animal cruelty, something which those involved with the attack have denied. With the generally poor quality of the footage, it is likely to remain unclear whether the case of frightened workers lashing out at a harmless, diseased sun bear or a genuine mystery animal attack. While in this particular case there is video evidence and a good educated guess as to what the culprit was, the same cannot be said about a horrific attack that occurred in the United States, in Missouri to be exact, in 2015, in which an 85-year-old cyclist was brutally killed by some sort of wild animal. Warren Vogt was riding his bicycle through a heavily forested area in Anchor Hill Ranch, southwest of Rogersville, in northeastern Christian County, when he was apparently charged and attacked by some sort of large, angry beast. The severely mauled and injured man was rushed to the nearest hospital, where he remained conscious at first, and was questioned by authorities who showed him pictures of several large breeds of dogs, in an effort to figure out what had attacked him, but he rejected all of them. According to Christian County Sheriff Brad Cole, it was a decidedly baffling moment, and he said of the situation this: just as we do with a photo lineup to identify a suspect to a witness, that's what we kind of did with these dogs. We provided several pictures of large breed dogs, and he couldn't identify any of those as being what attacked him. For around a month, the severely wounded Mr. Vogt remained in intensive care as police tried to figure out just what sort of creature could have possibly attacked him, and remained vigilant of other similar attacks, of which there were none. Although the main culprit was suspected as being some sort of feral dog, the severity of the wounds inflicted, which didn't match with the typical wild dog attack, seemed to suggest otherwise. The sheriff further elaborated on this, saying, "The extent of the injuries that Mr. Vogt had, they honestly were horrific. They were bad, not something I would expect to see from a dog attack." Mr. Vogt eventually died from these injuries, and photos were sent to wildlife experts for analysis. After carefully looking at the photos of the injuries and pictures of the crime scene, it was still unclear as what sort of malicious beast could have attacked Mr. Vogt. His violent death and the creature behind it remain a frustrating conundrum for which there are no forthcoming explanations. Fortunately, no other attacks of this nature have been reported from the area since, meaning that whatever it was has either had its thirst for blood slated, or it's just biding time to strike again. It is clear that although we like to maintain our illusion of supremacy over the natural world around us, it is not a force to be easily tamed or understood, for that matter. As much as we like to think we are control of forces and creatures that lie out there in the wilds, skirting our cities, they nevertheless lie in wait, biding their time for us to let down our guard, even if for a moment. What sorts of predatory beasts stalk the night out there, slinking, stalking, and lumbering through the dark wilds? Can these animals ever truly be tamed, or will there always be those who must cower in the black of the night from the fanged, clawed messengers of death that still seem to very much prowl the earth? There may come a time when we have wiped out all of the animals that pose a threat to us, and there may come an age when there are no more such threats that remain unknown to us. Until then, these bizarre cases of rampaging mystery monsters serve to show us two things: that we are far through with comprehending all the things that hide at the night in our wild places, and that we are merely tenaciously allowed to maintain our role as Earth's dominators by far deadlier creatures that have been there far longer than us. Even though I've covered a lot of these encounters, I wanted to put it up again in the wake of the 13-year-old child who was attacked. It's still unknown what had attacked the little boy, but some speculation is that a wild, or not wild, but a pit bull attacked him. That doesn't add up for me, and the police have not made that known to the public. I guess that's what a couple people are saying on social media. But, I mean, I've been around large pit bulls, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have too. And they're very strong dogs. Some can be aggressive, but some can be really loving, just like any dog. And I know that these dogs are strong, but this little boy was dragged up a hill, a steep mountainside, 300 to 400 feet. Now, if he was alive during that, there would have been a struggle. And I'm pretty sure that that dog would have had one hell of a chance dragging him up. If he had passed, that still would have been hard. It would have just been dead weight. Unfortunately, I hate that term, but that's what it would have been. Along with the 77-year-old school teacher who we have not figured out what killed her, and the home health aide in Texas, we have not really figured out what killed her. Feral hogs cannot be the answer that we accept. I'm not going to accept these answers, and I just can't. I've read too much. I've seen too much. I speculate too much. I can't say I know too much because I really don't. It's all speculation. I do know that there is way more out there than we know, and I'm sure all of you guys do too. I'm doing a little bit of research right now on some places in America that these attacks happen more frequently or regularly. I'm doing some research as well on some places that have very powerful supernatural or paranormal occurrences. And last night I was sitting in my studio after mercifully beating my daughter at Uno 6 times. But I was doing some research and I came to a couple conclusions. I'm going to share those with you, not tonight, but hopefully within this week. I'm going to try to put something together. There's one spot in America that has paranormal, cryptids, UFOs, and other native lore attached to it. And I'm wondering if those 4 things have anything to do with each other. Meaning ghosts, poltergeists, Dogman, Bigfoot, UFOs. I wonder if they all have something to do with each other. And I also came up with a freaky notion or idea, which I'm going to share along with my research later on in the week. I will say it when it's time. But someone that I would have never suspected being involved in the cover-up or study of these things is involved. And I was blown away last night when it dawned on me and freaked out, actually. But anyway, I just wanted to get this out tonight because the little boy's funeral and remembrance was yesterday. And I kind of put this out so everybody would remember, hey, we aren't at the top of the food chain. And with summer coming, it's, only a couple months away. People are going to be getting that cabin fever and wanting to go outside when it gets warm. I just want you guys to be careful and remain vigilant and safe. And with that, guys, I'm going to bid you farewell.